but it's, we both are intrigued with all this
Well,
paranormal
sure.
uh, stuff,
Um,
Jamie and I, and like I said, between us, we have over 50 either haunted or cursed objects. I mean, I collect also items that were used in exorcisms,
Hmm.
from Bibles, crosses, chalices. I have a shirt that belonged to the head exorcist priest from the Vatican. It just, all that stuff intrigues me and I love it. I have letters from German soldiers during World War II that have attachments to it. You know, um, I just, anything like that, I am very intrigued and I treat it with the respect and that it should. People don't like the Germans because they were at war with us. Well, you got to understand that these were children also that were forced into the war, and they had feelings and they had love for people, and they were just forced into the war. And there's no reason why you should hate the item because it's a German item. I mean, hate the person that put them in that war, not the people that were forced in it. You know what I mean?
Well, no
So
matter what army, there's always conscription soldiers. And,
exactly.
if your choices with the, you know, Youth for Hitler and everything else that was going on in that time was do it or die. And
Exactly.
they were taught hate, so they weren't necessarily making informed choices either, and they were young. They were 14 and 15-year-olds that were being trained as soldiers.
Exactly.
People forget that sometimes because, the word Nazi has such a well earned connotation, but it didn't apply to people that were forced to be there.
And that's my point
You're right. But
too,
people
and that's
forget
why I do
that.
have those letters. Heck, I have a picture autographed by Hitler himself. So,
Wow.
and doesn't mean
also
I'm
just
not
part
a
of history.
Nazi. I'm not a Nazi. I'm not a Hitler lover or anything,
Well, no,
but
but I mean, it has to be a powerful artifact.
it's a powerful artifact and it's part of history, regardless if it was a negative history or not. I mean, I don't think we should get rid of history just because it was negative. I mean, we need to learn from it and see it. Just
Exactly.
getting rid of it is not going to get rid of the history, but we can learn from it.
And see,
And
that's why
that's
I get so frustrated. Yes, I'm Southern. Yes, I do know the history behind all of the statues that people are ripping and tearing down and apart. But those who do not learn from history, learn about history, there's no reminders that this happened. It's
Right.
exactly.
it's just
Just
like,
because you take it down doesn't erase the history.
well, it doesn't, but it does mean that only those who are educated know that history. And
Well,
because, not everybody can go to college, not everybody will go to college, not everybody is going to pay attention in school, and history books are rewritten all the time. So, you know, if you don't know it, it's going to happen again.
it's like the point of the concentration camps,
Yes.
and some people want to get rid of that because it's,
Upsetting.
and then some people say it never happened.
Mm-hmm.
Well, why don't you read the letters and the stories of the American soldiers that got to Auschwitz and saw what they saw, and they were more dramatized by what they saw at the concentration camps than the war itself. The
Yes.
PTSD that they got from the concentration camps was way worse than the war itself. People want to sit there and erase that and say it never existed. No, it did, and we need to know it did so we don't repeat it. I mean, these are things that happen in life, and I know we're gone off subject, but it's because I have a collection of Nazi letters, Nazi this, and and it's just part of the history that I like to keep and learn. I do a lot of research. I read a lot, and I don't listen when somebody says this thing happened. No, let me research it.
Exactly.
You know, even I grew up as a Catholic. Well, I had more arguments with priests and nuns because what I read, I didn't feel what I was being taught.
Exactly.
And
But you know what? I have to stop you mid-thought. I apologize so much, but we have to take this break. And I want to hear more about this because the fact that you're educating yourself gives you a stronger, better perspective, and it makes you capable for debate to share differing ideas and find out what other people feel with that. But we will be back in 3 minutes to continue that discussion. Thank you so much for being here and listening to Fate Radio on WBHM DB out of Birmingham, Alabama. Catch you on the flip side.
You are listening to WBHM Digital Broadcasting, the best in paranormal talk radio.
Welcome back to Fate Radio. I'm Kat Hobson, your host, with Felix Martin and Jamie Menshouse. And Felix, I do so apologize for having to stop you where we were. That was the best discussion. And, you know, I really think that how you approach your research and building your knowledge base is fascinating. You're so dedicated.
And I am, and Jamie is too. We
Absolutely.
both we do a lot of research, and we come to our own assessment by actually reading facts and not word of mouth. I mean, it goes with everything I do in life. You know, if you tell me this is black, well, I'm going to research it and see what makes it black.
Right.
You know, I'm not going to take your word for it. And I think the world would be a better place if people made their own decisions in life than just following the person in front of them that's telling them this is black and you're going to believe this is black and that's it. And a lot of people do. put it this way. One example is I was eating lunch at my job, and somebody comes to me and says, "Well, I don't believe in none of that." Because I post all my ghost hunting on Facebook. I'm not embarrassed about it.
Right.
This is my belief, and if you don't believe it, you can unfriend me or whatever. But she goes, "I don't believe in none of that." And I said, "Okay." That was my response. I'm not going to force you to believe it. But then she went ahead and said, "Well, in the Bible it says ghosts don't exist." And I just looked at her, and she didn't throw the Bible at me, did she? And and I said, "Well, where does it say it in the Bible?" I asked her, and she goes, "Well, in the Bible it says that when Jesus returns, he's going to take the living and the dead." I said, "Okay, that's interesting. First, you didn't mention ghosts, but let's analyze what you just said. You said that when he returns, he's going to take the living. I can understand that. He's going to take the ones that should not go through apocalypse and suffer and all that. So he's going to remove them from this planet so they don't suffer. Where's he getting the dead from?" "Well, from the graves."
There
I
you
said,
go.
"Okay." So then, wait. I mean,
Now, I know where you're
she
going
still
with this.
didn't,
I use this. I love it. Go ahead.
but she didn't even get it. And she goes, "From the graves." And I said, "So you're telling me only the people recently died are going to be saved?" And she goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, you understand that 6 months to a year, there's nothing left in that grave because we become worm food, ashes, dust, powder, whatever. We deteriorate and there's nothing left. So you're telling me only the people that recently died that still have a human body or human form that are going to be saved? Or are we talking about the spirits that are stuck here that did not cross over, that he's going to take, the ones we call ghosts?" "Oh." And I said, "Exactly. Because you sit there and you tell me what somebody told you, so you're just going to spit those words out, not even understanding because you don't think."
Not even pondering it.
Exactly. People just spurt whatever they hear, and that's it. And I'm sorry. I've never been that way. That's why I said I've always got in trouble in Catholic school and all that, because no, even as a kid, I read and it's like, well, I don't understand. You're telling me this, but I'm reading that. So it doesn't match here. Something's wrong. And I won't go into philosophy because or religion because I have my beliefs in everything, and I'm not going to be here to offend anybody, but I just say do your own research. If somebody tells you something is black, then you research it and find out why is it black. Or could it be a different shade? Or it could be, a dark, red that looks black. I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, don't let people just tell you. You make your own decisions. You research. And that's what Jamie and I do. When we started getting into all this, we also took some demonology classes, and I took it from a few people that we know. One of them is Kyle Cobb, as you know very well. And the funny thing is even these demonologists, depending on what part of the world and education they have their different philosophies also on demons. They both believe in demons, but they both have their different sides of where it come from and all this. And it's very interesting to hear and then read about it, where they're coming from, which makes a lot of sense on both ends. And I like to research all that. We educate ourselves about it. Jamie and I both took the classes, and we've learned a lot. And it has nothing to do with the handling of the dolls, unless, like I said, I have one with a low-level demon in it. And in the paranormal world, you might encounter a location that has a demon. And if there is, I get on the phone and call one of my demonologist friends and say, "You're needed here."
I have done that.
I mean, it's also just, a refresher course too on, it's not just about demonology. The course talks about how to handle haunted, cursed objects.
Yes.
It's a good refresher for us, because some of the stuff, you don't use. And so, it gets lost in your mind somewhere.
Yes.
So, we have that information at hand